It was supposed to be a relaxing Friday night out. I had been looking forward to dinner with Sarah and her friends all week. We'd been dating for almost a year, and although I'd met her friends before, this was the first time we were all going out together without any other distractions. I wanted to make a good impression, not just for Sarah's sake, but because I genuinely hoped to be part of her social circle. Little did I know, the night would turn into one of the most uncomfortable experiences of my life. The evening started off fine. We met at a trendy little restaurant downtown, the kind with dim lighting, warm music, and perfectly plated food. I smiled, shook hands, and tried to join in on the light conversation. But after the appetizers arrived, her friend's tone began to shift. It started with small jabs, playful teasing about my job, my clothes, and my choice of drink. At first, I laughed it off, assuming they were just trying to break the ice. But then the jokes got sharper. One of her friends made a snide remark about my car, calling it cute in a struggling artist kind of way. Another chimed in, asking if I was saving up for a real one. Sarah laughed along with them, which stung more than I expected. I waited for her to step in and maybe say, "Hey, that's enough," but she didn't. When the main course arrived, the conversation turned into something uglier. They started making personal jokes about my family background, which I had only briefly mentioned in passing to Sarah. I felt my face heat up, not out of embarrassment but from a slow, creeping anger. I caught Sarah's eye, silently asking her to step in. She just shrugged, as if to say, "That's how they are." I decided to keep my composure and quietly sip my drink, hoping they would tire themselves out. But instead, the comments became louder, drawing the attention of nearby tables. I could feel the humiliation pooling in my stomach. The more I tried to stay polite, the more they seemed to push. I couldn't tell if this was some kind of test, or just their idea of fun. Finally, I leaned toward Sarah and whispered, "This is getting a bit much. Can you ask them to tone it down?" She turned to me, her face suddenly serious, and said in a calm but cutting tone, "If my friend's rude jokes bother you so much, just pay the bill and go." For a moment, I thought I'd misheard her. But the way her friends smirked told me I hadn't. My chest tightened as I realized she was siding with them, not me. I felt something inside me shift, not just irritation, but a deep, cold sense of betrayal. The table went quiet for a split second before one of them laughed again, breaking the tension. I could have stayed and endured it, but something in me refused. I reached for my wallet, placed enough cash on the table to cover the entire bill, including theirs, and stood up without saying another word. I could feel Sarah's eyes on me, but I didn't look back. I walked out of the restaurant, the night air feeling colder than it should have. My hands were trembling, not from anger alone, but from the sharp clarity that this relationship had just ended in a single sentence. By the time I got to my car, my phone buzzed with a message from her, "Wow, can't believe you just walked out like that. Over a few jokes." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. I wanted to explain how humiliating it had been, how I'd expected her to have my back. But then I realized, if she couldn't see it already, nothing I said would matter. I didn't reply. Instead, I started the engine and drove home, each mile putting more distance between me and the people who thought tearing someone down was entertainment. Later that night, I lay in bed replaying everything in my mind. I thought about the way her friends had looked at me, the way she had laughed along, and the moment her words sealed it all. Relationships, I realized, aren't just about two people liking each other. They're about mutual respect, and once that's gone, there's nothing left to build on. Days passed without another word from either of us. I didn't block her, but I didn't reach out either. Her silence was an answer in itself. I figured she was waiting for me to apologize, but in my heart, I knew I had nothing to apologize for. A week later, a friend asked why Sarah and I had broken up. I told him the truth in one sentence. She told me to pay the bill and leave because I didn't laugh at her friend's insults. He raised an eyebrow and simply said, "Then you dodged a bullet." And for the first time since that night, I smiled. Looking back now, I'm almost grateful it happened. It showed me exactly where I stood in her life, not as an equal, not as someone worth defending, but as a punchline. And I refuse to be anyone's punchline ever again.